Hey guys, my name's Danny. I'm one of the boxing instructors here at Titans in Twinsburg. Today we're just kind of going to run through a couple of the basic punches you're going to see on the bags during our classes and kind of get you acclimated to what the class is going to be like so you know what you're doing when you get in here. But first thing we're kind of going through today is punches 1 through 6 on the bag. Yeah, punches 1 through 6, basically when we yell out a combination in class, you'll kind of know what punch is which. We'll kind of go through each one of those step by step. A couple of things to kind of just keep in mind when you're working the jab. Jab's also known as a 1. What you want to do is you always want to keep your legs bent. And in boxing, one thing, boxing's a little different than MMA. MMA, you're more squared up, I guess, to your opponent or to the bag. With boxing, you want to stay skinny. You want to stay as skinny as possible. So with jab, your jab's always out in front. Your second hand is always right here by your chin. When you go to throw that jab, you're supposed to step with the jab. So every time you step, you're stepping with that punch. So you want to create as much distance between you and your opponent as possible with the bag. You want to make sure you're closing that distance with that step. You never want to lean. Your chin should always be right down over your hips. So when you reach, you're stepping with that jab. When you throw that jab, you want to take your punch and turn it over. People will hurt their wrists or their hands if they're not turning over that jab. And you want to be hitting the bag right with your index finger knuckle and your middle finger knuckle. If you hit it with your ring finger or your pinky, that's kind of where you see people kind of hurt themselves. So distance from the bag, step, turn it over. The number one thing people kind of mistake sometimes is when they throw that jab, it kind of comes straight down, or they don't bring it all the way back to their chin. And you want to make kind of like a rubber band from the bag to your chin. Kind of throw some double jabs in there as well. You can work them high, you can work them low. Just make sure you're stepping. And as soon as that hand gets fully extended, that's when you should be hitting the bag. Yeah, so the number 2 is kind of the power punch in here. It's also known as a cross. Usually it kind of works off of the jab. The jab kind of sets up, you know, the 2. So what will happen is you kind of throw your jab out there, and then that 2 or that cross will come in next. Same thing with the jab. You're still turning your glove over. Still making contact with the middle finger or the index finger and knuckles. Those are the ones you want to make sure you hit. And make sure you're kind of pivoting on that back leg. You're kind of opening up those hips. Because the number 1 mistake people will make is instead of throwing the 2 straight from the chin, you'll get some, beginners that'll come in and the first thing they want to do is just wail on the bag. So instead of looking like this, let's go. And that's where you'll see people kind of hurting themselves because they're coming way back here. And it's putting a lot of pressure and tension on your shoulder and on your back. So after the 2s come in the 3. The 3 is also known as like a left hook. This is the one where it feels, I guess, most unnatural to people, especially me when I first started with my left hand. Takes up, I would say, definitely the most practice. But the 3 is going to be with your left hand if you're a righty. Hands up, and the 3 is basically bringing it over, and you're pivoting on your front foot. You're just basically bringing it over, keeping the elbow kind of parallel to the ground, or at least keeping the elbow up. You don't want to swing, I guess, too low or too high. You're just kind of bringing kind of straight across. So on the bag, this one, I have my knuckles going, they're straight up and down. On the 2, obviously it's straight across. This one is kind of on the side. Kind of same idea, though. You're only hitting with your index finger and your middle finger. So bring it across. Make sure you're really pivoting on that front foot and you're bringing those hips. You want to keep it in kind of tight because, again, you can hurt your shoulder if you're kind of too loose with it, but it's just all that torque is coming from your hips and from your legs with that 3. 4's basically kind of the same thing as the 3, just with the other hand. You're not pivoting on the front foot, you're pivoting on your back foot. Coming through again, you're not bringing it all the way out here with a haymaker. It's just quick from the chin, bringing it straight through. And you're kind of coming over top of any. The idea is if people are kind of starting to drop their hands, the 4 would kind of come right up over top of those hands. So you're kind of coming parallel with it if you can. over top. Pivoting on that back foot. That's the floor.
Cool.
5 and 6 are just your uppercuts. Number one thing with the uppercuts, it's not really, kind of when we do workouts, you know, during class, we'll kind of roll 5 and 6s and just kind of pat them out like that. When you're on the bag, it's a little bit different. You're supposed to, all the power from 5 and 6 is supposed to come from your legs. So you're supposed to be kind of starting low. And then when you come up, it's just that thrust up with the legs. And it's known as an uppercut, 5 and 6. So you're just, so if we say roll out 5 and 6s during class, we're just bringing them out and rolling up the shoulders. I like to use this bag if we can for 5 and 6s. Sorry for that. The 5 and 6s, we're just kind of rolling them out from the bottom here. So this is my favorite bag to use because you can actually get underneath the bag and you're not working on something tall. So you're coming underneath. It's just that kind of burst up with your legs into the bag. 5 and 6s.